Hey, it's Taco here from tacohikes.com. Normally you would see me doing videos about backpacking or camping or even drone stuff, but I decided to start this YouTube channel. And I had YouTube years ago and I deleted everything and moved stuff over to another site. But I decided to start this YouTube channel as part of a new and completely different adventure from anything that I've done in the last 20 years or so. I've decided to learn how to pilot a powered paraglider. And it's like, and you might be asking yourself, of course, if you found this under the hashtag powered paraglider, you might ask yourself, wait a minute, why would you decide to do that all of a sudden? Well, and here's why. Back in the late 90s, I was involved with the ultralight community in some ways. I put together a team, Max 103 airplane, and with the eventual intent of flying it around and being able to go from airport to airport. And it was a fun endeavor, but I wound up quitting for several reasons. One, I had a small child at the time, and my family members were giving me a whole bunch of crap about it and saying that I was going to splatter myself all over the ground and leave her without a father. And while that's possible, that was only one of the factors. Another one was it's expensive, and we had other stuff to think about. And then there's airplane hangar fees. You got to rent a hangar at an airport unless you have a truck with a trailer large enough to haul an airplane around. So there was all these factors, and I finally wound up, I built the airplane. It was great. I learned a lot about woodworking. I learned a lot about metalworking and electronics and stuff like that. So it was a fun project, but I eventually wound up selling it without ever flying it. But I've kind of been disappointed ever since because I never got to fly, and I've always wanted to fly. So I got into drones recently, and the drones have been great fun. And I thought that the drones would substitute. Okay, well, I still get the visuals of being able to fly and seeing up above clouds or seeing off to the horizon and it's things from above. And the drones are great. I love drones, and I want to keep my drones, but at the same time, it's like I wish I was there. You know, I'm standing on the ground and this drone's having all the fun. The drones have been one of the things. And look at this color. The sun is about to set, and everything's just like brilliantly lit. So the drones are a lot of fun, but the drones have kind of gotten me back in that mode where it's like I would really like to go flying somewhere. So I went skydiving back in October of 22. And by the way, it is January 2nd, 2023. I'm filming this outside. I'm in South Carolina, and last week the high was like 27 over the weekend, and now this weekend it's almost 70 and there's bugs out. I'm actually a little bit warm sitting here with the sun on me. So if you don't like the weather in South Carolina, just wait a couple of days. But back in October, I went skydiving, and it was just amazing. The jumping out of the plane and all the air rushing past me, and then poof, the canopy came out, and that was an incredible experience. And the free fall wasn't really for me. It didn't scare me or anything. It was so intense. It was like standing in a hurricane. So the free fall wasn't really my favorite part. Once the canopy opened though, and we were floating around, gliding forwards in the canopy, and just, you know, being able to see things and twist left and right and just glide along, that was that really brought back this bug I have to fly. And so I told a friend at work about it, and he said, well, you ought to look into powered paragliding. And I said, what is powered paragliding? Because back in the 90s when I was making my ultralights, powered paragliding wasn't really much of a thing. It existed, but we didn't really run into it in the ultralight world. Every now and then somebody would have a powered parachute, which sort of looks like a go-kart with a parachute tied to the top of it and a big propeller on the back. And they would take off and fly around sitting in this, basically a go-kart under a parachute. And it was like, okay, well, that looks, I don't know. You still kind of need an airport or something to take off and land from, it seems. So I really wasn't interested in the powered parachutes. Powered paragliders, however, in the last 30 years have really developed. If you've ever seen a paraglider, basically it's a long, thin, sort of almost football-shaped parachute, and people will pull it up over their heads and run off the side of a mountain and glide down to an airport somewhere that's down a valley or something. Well, a powered parachute is the same thing, or excuse me, a powered paraglider is the same thing as a paraglider, but with the added addition of a backpack with a little motor on it and a propeller. And so you start from a run, add power, and this parachute's up over your head and you take off. And I was like, that is flying. It's flying like a bird. It's all the benefits of, you know, floating around after a skydive, except you can go back up if you want to. You don't need an airport. You need a big field, but you don't really need an airport. And the stuff packs up really small. If you have a Honda Civic or a Toyota Camry or something, or a mid-size SUV, pack up everything and it goes in the back. So I was like, that's what I need, is something really no bigger than a hiking backpack once you take the hoop off. And the parachute packs up in a big duffel bag, and that's what I wanted. I was like, that is flying to me. Everything I need for being able to get out and fly without all the additional expenses of having an airport and having a hangar and everything else. Plus, it's an ultralight, which means the government can't tell you, well, you can't fly because you don't have a pilot's license, or you can't fly because, you know, your eyes are too bad, or you've got, you know, a gimpy ankle or something. So it's like, okay, well, you know, you can fly an ultralight pretty much without having to jump through a bunch of government hoops and get taxed and pay fees and all this sort of thing. Once you buy your stuff, that's it. So I've decided that's my journey. I'm going to learn how to fly a powered paraglider, get together all my equipment, and if you want to keep up with this YouTube channel, I'm not doing it for money or anything, so if you want to keep up with this YouTube channel and maybe you're interested in powered paragliders, you can learn along with me and some of the mistakes that I make and some of the things that I learn. So a few first steps before I really get into my next video will probably be me doing some soldering and some electronics work. So a few first steps. First of all, I found some instructors in my state or close enough by where I can actually get training. I thought at first, hey, well, I'll take an intro lesson or two, and then I'll try to figure it out on my own. But the more I watch and the more I talk to people, it's like, that's just a bad idea. Yeah, there's a lot of things you can learn to do on your own, but I don't think this is it. I think this is something that you really need somebody to teach you how to do stuff. And to watch your mistakes, because if you learn on your own and you make bad habits, maybe your bad habits still let you get in the air, 5 times out of 10, but the other 5 you trip and you hurt yourself. So I don't want to tear stuff up. It's expensive, and fixing me is expensive. First of all, I found some instructors, and I'm going to be taking an intro lesson and then some day lessons here and there until I get comfortable enough, and they'll tell me when I get to fly. So I found that. I found some equipment that I can start looking at. As far as, there's 2 main bits you need. There's the wing, or they call it the glider, so basically the parachute. So I found the glider that I really want, and then the motor, the paramotor itself, which is the backpack with the harness and the propeller and the engine. So that's just mainly 2 things you buy if you want to buy it, as parts. So you could break it down even more. You can buy individual things and put it all together yourself, but I'm not going to do that, because number one, I've done that before with my first ultralight, and it never really worked out. If you try to piecemeal stuff together, it takes you a lot longer and you wind up spending more money. And then in my case, you never finish the damn thing. So my goal is to get the wing and then the motor and be done with it and have a flyable rig. After, that's what another consideration. And then you need a helmet and some earmuffs, because like ear protection, because the motor's real loud, and then some way to communicate with other people. So the next video you see me do is going to be me putting the helmet, the ear protection, and the communication system together. And this isn't something that I've just come up with off the cuff. If you follow him, Tucker Gott is well known in the paramotor field, and he's a YouTube guy that does a ton of stuff on paramotors, and he takes you through basically how to set up a communication system and helmet for a powered paraglider from start to finish. And I'm going to use some of my electronics knowledge to wire up a hardwired system. He uses Bluetooth. I'm going to use regular wires because I'm old school, and I like regular wires instead of Bluetooth for certain things. So that's the next video I'm going to do, is I'm going to get my helmet, my speakers, my microphone, and my ear protection, and put everything together into a usable flying helmet, so to protect my noggin and to be able to talk to people. So that's next on the list. So thanks for listening. I know this has gone on for a while. Thanks for listening. Go over to my other webpage, tacohikes.com. If you want this cool hammock chair that I made, they're available through the website and my wife's Squarespace page. So you can check out your own taco hammock, and the web page with all my hiking stuff. I'm on Instagram and TikTok as at Taco Hikes. So if backpacking is more your thing, or if you want to mix up backpacking with powered paragliding, move on over there. Eventually, that's what I hope to do, is be able to powered paraglide onto the top of a mountain somewhere, camp out overnight, then pack up, take off, and fly back down to the car. So that would be like the absolute best.